Tuesday, September 25th, in Memphis, Tennessee, 2 people were accidentally shot and then hospitalized. They were both reported in stable condition and will make a full recovery. They're the lucky ones. The day before that, a 3-year-old child in Warrensville, South Carolina, shot and killed himself with a gun. He was not one of the lucky ones. Stories like these have been told by over 1,100 people this year alone. So I'm Nathan McMurray, and I'm here to prove to you that educating the public on gun safety will severely decrease the number of accidental deaths and injuries caused by the misuse of a gun. Although there is argument that eliminating access to guns will eliminate a large percentage of injuries, educating everyone on gun safety will work better because it will teach families how to safely own a gun and what to do when encountering a gun. The first definition, and the most important definition, is gun education. That is the teaching of families the proper ways to store, treat, and react to a gun in their homes. So on my first point, teaching families about gun safety will decrease the number of people that improperly store their weapons in places that children can have access to them. According to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, a research institute there, 1.7 million children live with loaded guns that have not been locked away. And 1 out of 3 homes with kids have guns in them. That's 33% of homes that have guns that are easily accessible to children, most of which don't know the dangers of using a weapon. According to the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, 89% of unintentional deaths of children by guns occur in the home. Most occur when children are playing with a parent's loaded gun without their parents around. When a children can get a hold of a weapon without supervision, they're free to fire it anywhere because all because their parents didn't know that they should teach their children the proper way to handle a gun from a young age. According to the U.S. Government Accountability Office, 31% of accidental deaths by guns might have been prevented with child-proof safety locks, and another 23% could have been prevented with a loading indicator. Anyone can pick up a gun not knowing it's loaded to look or even point it at someone. But if they had an indicator to tell them that it was loaded, they would know that they need to treat the weapon with respect. However, even with an indicator, to make sure that people are only trained to use it, or only trained people have access to use it, parents should be taught the importance of locking away their weapons in safes or lockboxes. On my second point, gun education has already proven to be successful. So increasing the amount of education will also increase how safely people handle guns. More than 26,000 educators, law enforcement agencies, and civic organizations have already taught programs that teach children gun education. Like, for instance, the Eddie Eagle Gun Safe program held by the National Rifle Association, which has been taught since 1988. The Eddie Eagle Gun Safe program is designed by the NRA to teach children from pre-K to 3rd grade proper ways to react to seeing a gun in their household. It uses a catchy mantra to make it easier for kids to remember how to safely react if they encounter a gun. They tell kids, similarly to if you encounter a fire, to stop, don't touch it, and run to a teacher. From 1999 to 2010s, things like this have decreased the death rates of children so much from 5 to 4, or that ages from 5 to 14-year-olds, or the rates of deaths from ages 5 to 14 has dropped from 1% to 0.7%, according to the National Vital Statistics Report, Volume 67 by the CDC. The same article says that from 1999 to 2014, death rates for younger adults aged 15 to 24 has dropped from 17.6% to 14% only. Death rates have been on a decline since the NRA and other organizations have been educating people on gun safety, and will continue to decline with more gun education. Although most people will argue that limiting guns is the surefire way to limit these injuries, The simple fact of the matter is, more gun education will reduce the risk of accidental injuries by mistreatment of guns. Whether you're educating children how to react when they encounter a gun, like the Eddie Eagle program does for young children, or you're teaching families how to store a weapon safely and properly, the fact of the matter is, people need to be taught how to handle guns they already own. Thank you.
All right, Nathan, the propositions identified, there's not really a preview of what the contents are going to be, but there are only two supporting points. They're labeled pretty clearly as you get to them in the body of the speech. The first point you've got a lot of information on concerning the number of kids at risk. I thought that that was a good piece of information, and the circumstances under which children find themselves in danger. That it's basically in their own homes. It's basically playing with the gun when the parents are not around. The lack of securing the weapon, that seems to be like a pretty straightforward explanation of what's happening there. The notion that parents are non-compliant because of ignorance, I think, needs to be developed a little bit more. There could be a variety of reasons that people don't make their guns unavailable to their children because they think they have to have instant access to them for self-defense issues, or they think it's too complicated, or the kids don't really know, aren't going to find their guns, something along those lines. I do think you need to have a little bit more information that says that the reason is because the parents are ignoramuses, not just because, assuming that because the guns are available, they're ignoramuses. That might sound like a fine distinction as I'm listening to it in my head. I think anybody who leaves a gun out for anybody to find is an ignoramus. But there are people who do that. They know that it's potential danger, but they've made a decision anyway. And I think you need to kind of give some more information that talks about, maybe people who have access to guns without any kind of training. That would be another thing that would support that particular point. The idea that gun education works, I think you do a pretty good job showing that it has an impact. The percentages that you're talking about, we went from 1% to 0.7% and 17.6% to 14%. I'm not quite sure what those percentages represent. I mean, I can tell that one is smaller than the other, but I'm not sure what that means in the long run. Is that the rate of deaths per 100,000? Is that the number of deaths annually? I don't really know what those statistics mean, except that I do see a trend that exists there. You do a pretty good job speaking to the audience, although you've got those big pages that you're holding up in front of your face. That's always a little annoying. I thought you had a good summary at the end of the speech for your argument as well. Thank you.